watching this, of course, but I think we need to have, I would like to know what you folks think about this. So, for those of you who are watching this after the fact, and I don't know how long this video is going to be, but if it's long, I anticipate the main topic being the first 10 to 20 minutes, something like that. You won't, if this is an hour-long video, rest assured, you most likely won't have to watch the entire thing unless you absolutely want to. Now, that's it. I just don't know. I do know we're going to be, I don't know how long it's going to be. I don't know what the interaction is going to be like, but we are going to be discussing this news story. And what I'm talking about is this story right here, where Amazon has kicked 3,900 sellers off its platform for price gouging during the crisis. Now, full disclosure, I do have a stealth Amazon account. I'm not going to tell you what it is. And there have been several items that have started being delisted because they were too high in price. And these are items that, you would not think would get, flagged. We're talking about manga. We're talking about a couple hardcover books that are first editions. Things that are admittingly being sold way above the asking price in some cases. However, there's a special attribute to them that makes me feel justified in charging double or sometimes triple the amount of money. And that's my strategy with Amazon. You can have a different selling strategy on Amazon. You can sell a bunch of items for a very marginal profit, and like every item you sell like, you make like 50 cents to $2 off each item. It's not a huge profit margin, but your goal is to sell as many items as you can, and you average several hundred items a day. That turns out to be a pretty good profit at the end of the day. And then you have people like me who, we do put a lot of stuff on Amazon, but I am only interested in selling stuff if it can be like at a substantial markup, at least 25%, ideally 50% to 75% of a markup. That's why my store deals mostly in collectibles, because I feel justified in going to a thrift store, finding a rare book for 50 cents, and then going around and charging $10 for it, something like that. So I definitely am one of those price gougers. However, I am price gouging collectors. I'm not price gouging people who need supplies. I do have a lot of toilet paper, and I do have paper, and I have water. I have canned food. And technically, I can sell all of this on Amazon if I want, or eBay. I'm not doing that, of course, but I could. Now, when it comes to crises, I'm kind of one of two minds. I understand both sides of the argument just a little bit. On one hand, yeah, you're totally taking advantage of a situation, and it's kind of scummy when you take advantage of desperation for profit. On the other hand, I do acknowledge that during times of crisis, this is not the time to make a buck. The only way you make money is you take advantage of people. What's more, some people might need that, and the money that they spend to get it is worth it at that moment in time. So in that case, you are not taking advantage of people. You are providing a service. So I'm of two minds of this. I lean towards I would prefer not to take advantage during a crisis. On the other hand, in some cases, some rare cases, admittedly, people have no way to get supplies. And so someone's going to bring supplies, they're providing a service, they're taking on a huge risk, and they want to be compensated for that risk. And I don't 100% see anything wrong with that. So I'm of two minds. And that means an article like this, where Amazon has kicked almost $4,000 off the platform for price gouging, I have some concerns about. I have some concerns about why it was done. I have some concerns about how it was done. We're going to have to look at the article in detail, unfortunately. This is from Business Insider. And afterwards, I am going to then turn the mic, so to speak, over to you folks watching. I'm going to ask for your opinion. Now, let's make one thing absolutely clear. I know a lot of you are probably right now, even as I am speaking, typing questions about Uber, about Dara Khosrowshahi. You might even be asking about Disney. You know what? I'm sorry to disappoint you. We are not answering those questions right now. We are only going to be discussing this particular story, and when that conversation stops, so will the video. So I'm just giving you a fair heads up on that one. But let's take a look at this article. So Amazon has booted almost 4,000 sellers off its platform for jacking up their prices during the, C virus pandemic. Amazon said in a company blog on Monday they had removed 3,900 sellers, interesting that it wasn't even 4,000, for price gouging, and with them well over 500,000 extraordinarily priced items. In fact, that's one of the reasons I believe that some of my items were delisted, because it's like, oh, that's an extraordinarily priced item, but it's like it's kind of been that way for months. But this adds to one of my problems with the situation. You'll see what I'm talking about. Earlier in March, Amazon announced it had removed 530,000 listings from its site and suspended 2,500 U.S. seller accounts. Quote, we are constantly monitoring our stores for unfair prices and listings that make false claims in regard to what's going on. We have dynamic automated systems in place that locate and remove unfairly priced items. In addition, we have deployed a dedicated team that's working continuously to identify and investigate unfairly priced products that are now in high demand, such as protective masks and hand sanitizer. Now, this is where my biggest problem is, but I'm going to get back to it in a second. We are also proactively sharing information with state attorneys, general, and federal regulators about sellers we suspect have engaged in egregious price gouging of products related to the C virus crisis. On Monday, President Trump signed an executive order specifically banning price gouging and hoarding of medical items like face masks. Okay, and that's something to take into account right there. Since the virus started to spread across the globe, demand for Amazon deliveries has skyrocketed to the point where even I'm buying a few things on Amazon. Not a lot. I'm still going to go to other competitors first, but Amazon has saved our bacon a couple times. And sellers have sought to benefit. Prices for items such as face masks, hand sanitizer, and thermometers have ballooned by hundreds of dollars. Now then, here's where I'm conflicted about all this. I am in agreement that these items should not be inflated with the prices. They should not be inflated with the prices. They just shouldn't. I think that's a pretty scummy thing to do right now. That said, and by the way, I agree with share, but here's where I'm having some problems. Because Amazon does this a lot. They let sellers go online and they say, hey, you can sell your items, you can list whatever price you want. It's your store. But it's not really your store. It's Amazon's store. And they take a huge chunk of the percent of the sale, of which you don't have any negotiating power over. They say, hey, if you want us to put your item up a little higher, you got to give us a little extra. And then they decide, hey, your items can just be removed from the store if we feel you're charging too much for them. Well, what's Amazon to say how much you should charge for your items? I have things removed from my store frequently that I always relist, by the way, and I do it until it sells. I mean, it's not like it's like the biggest problem in the world, but the thing is, they are consistently removing items from the store that they feel are priced too high. And I have to constantly re-upload them. Sometimes they get really push, like, no, we believe this item costs too much money. You need to lower the price. And my whole thought is, I want to make this much money off of it. This is what I want to charge for it. And if people don't want to pay that kind of money, they don't have to buy it from me. They can buy it from someone else if they have a better price. And this is, by the way, this isn't just with items where there's other options. There's sometimes items where it's like there's only a few items, and I'm the cheapest price on the item sometimes, because even though I charge exuberant, I'm still usually undercutting the competition. However, because it's still like a high price item, Amazon flags it for being too high, while the competitors' items, who might be a little bit more money, by the way, they get to stay because they have the, fulfilled by Amazon agreement. And Amazon artificially inflates the control of the merchandise on the site. And when they start, adding, how should I put it? They start overlooking more what you're selling and what you're charging, and they start taking a more draconian measure. They start removing stuff because, hey, they don't want people to be exploited. Hey, it's noble, but you're impeding on my business. I am supposedly your business partner. I did not consult that it was okay for you to take my items off. I do not agree that this is the low price it should be. And so I have had manga and comics and art that have been removed from the website recently, like probably a few dozen items that I've had to re-upload, and in some cases I've even had to lower the price just to keep them on there, which I don't want to do. And that's probably just an unintended side effect of what's going on, because it's bots that are taking this down. But here's the thing. Those bots tend to become permanent. And once they see how many items they can get through with bots, they're just going to leave them up there. And so as a result, you find items being taken down all the time that you did not agree to have taken down, and there's nothing you can do about it. And here's the other thing that I have a problem with. They are proactively sharing information with state attorneys general and federal regulators about sellers we suspect have engaged in egregious price gouging. Now, this is a little bit more complicated, of course. What's more complicated about this, and my nose is itching really badly, this is the bad thing about being live, is that President Trump did sign an executive order banning price gouging and hoarding of medical items. That makes sense. But here's the thing. Do you want Amazon snitching on you? Do you want Amazon to be saying, hey, these people have their own personal items and they're selling things that we believe? Like, who knows what Amazon decides is egregious on what? Who knows what information they're giving the government? Heck, for all you know, you're selling an item that Amazon sells a lot more than Amazon is, and Amazon might just say, hey, you know what, we don't feel like you should be selling more items than we do, so we're going to send this to a regulator, and we're going to suspend your account. I have issues with that. Again, though, it's a complicated time. I never thought I'd get to a point where there would be a few compromises I'd be willing to make on my freedom, so to speak, for the greater good. Like right now, I'm staying at home. I'm encouraging other people to stay at home. I'm perfectly okay with things closing for a little while, so long as it reopens back up. But here's the thing. As much as some people don't trust the government, I definitely trust the government to open back up, because this is not good for them. I don't trust Amazon to ease on some of these restrictions. I kind of expect, kind of like how Uber was trying to take advantage of the situation by, getting the government to bail out the drivers and you redefine what their contract status is during a crisis. I suspect Amazon will probably use this in the long term to kick more sellers off, to control the pricing more. And it's one of those things where it's like Amazon, yeah, they are your competitor and they're also your landlord. It's like, the way I see it, let's say it's a building, it's a mall, and Amazon has the corner stores. They have one on each end, and all the little stores are in the middle. And basically, as the landlord, you have merchandise you're selling, but you also have tenants who are selling merchandise like you are. So what do? You go to all the tenants, you look at what they're charging, and then you start putting restrictions on them, like saying, hey, you can't sell that item. I'm going to sell that item because I'm your landlord. Or, hey, you're doing really well in this area. Okay, you're going to pay this much more, which means you're going to have to raise the prices, which means the item that I'm now selling that's exactly like yours, guess what? It's going to be cheaper. So I'm concerned about this, because even though Amazon is not the biggest part of my income anymore, it's actually become a bigger part of my income the last month. Like I've made a few $100 more on Amazon than I usually make. But I think it's just going to get abused to control the sellers a heck of a lot more. But this is where the conflict comes in, and this is where all of you come in. I kind of want to know what your thoughts on all of this is. Is this something I should be concerned about? Is this something you're concerned about? Or do you think this is like the right thing for them to do? And I'm going to go back now, and I'm going to start looking at the Amazon-related questions only. Only the Amazon-related questions and comments. If it's an Uber-related question, and who knows, maybe no one has an opinion on this. Maybe absolutely no one has an opinion on this. But, that said, I will say hi Delphia, hi Juan, hi Island Empire, hi Air JDN, and hi Rideshare Source Driver and the Failed Journalist Copycat, which I have a Failed Journalist channel, folks. Don't forget to check it out and subscribe. So let's see here. So Delphia says $70 for a bottle of hand sanitizer is only helping one person, the seller. So I'm under the impression that you are okay with this. And then, hey, that's fine if you're okay with Amazon saying that you just can't do you can't price gouge like that. I mean, again, I think on medical supplies, I am in agreement with them. I'm just concerned about the long term ramifications of such a thing. Let's see here. Um, and Rideshare Source Driver says that's best idea, making profit offering lowest price. I do that too. Well, I'm glad to know that you do that. Failed Journalist Copy says they are tyrants like Uber. Now, they're worse than Uber. They are so much worse than Uber. One says, bro, nothing you can say justifies the price gouging. Well, okay, in your mind, nothing can justify price gouging. I do believe in the whole supply and demand thing. I do believe it can be abused, of course, but if it's kind of like this is why things become valuable. It's if there's a finite amount of items and more people want it, that's what drives the price up. Now it's horrible when it's like an essential need, and that's I understand that concern, but like here, I mean, this is why like when I do it, it's under non-essential items. Like for example, I sold a Final Fantasy art book 2 years ago for $2,000. That book normally costs $25. Now, of course, the reason I sold for so much is because it was signed by Yoshitaka Anno, the character designer of the Final Fantasy games. At least I think I got his name right. I probably got that wrong. And there's only so many number of books that he has signed. I had one. It was in great condition, and it was in way more demand. Therefore, I could charge way more than the sticker price. And I don't think that's wrong. I also, years ago, when the PlayStation 3 came out, I pre-ordered a PlayStation 3. It was $600, $700 after the tax, pretty much. And I brought it home, and before I opened it, I just out of curiosity looked on eBay to see what it was selling for. And it was selling for so much money, I couldn't believe it. So I said, hey, you know what? I don't need this thing right now. I put it on eBay. I started it at $1. It sold for $3,000. I kid you not. I bought my first car with the PlayStation 3. Now, is that my fault for taking advantage of that? No. That's their fault for spending that much money. And I bet you they regretted that because like 4 months later, you could get them anywhere. Now, again, it is different for food and stuff. I don't agree that you should do this with toilet paper. I don't think toilet paper is essential. But like, yeah, if it's hand sanitizer and food, that's where it gets problematic. But now the question is, if we allow Amazon to start keeping an eye on sellers right now, saying, oh yeah, like make sure you shut down people who are price gouging. Well, what's price gouging? Like Amazon in their blog post, which wasn't part of the article, did say they are constantly monitoring sellers' pricing to ensure that they are always fair and always low. Well, you know what? That seems to be stepping over a line. Because again, that's my store. In theory, it's my store. And ignoring essential medical equipment, I should have the right to price things however the heck I want. And for Amazon to be coming and telling me, no, you can't do that, that I have some issues with. Let's see if anyone else has some comments. Lynetta says, it's great unless Amazon abuses it and undercuts this after crisis is over. That's kind of my big problem. She also commented, Amazon is a horrible employer that treats employees like little poop emoji. I love that. And the second thing she said, she's like, this is a different time, like that dude that bought the drug and increased its price, says by 500%. That should be illegal. Right now, that is illegal. President Trump did sign an executive order that said that kind of price gouging was illegal. And hey, Jason, haven't seen you in a while. How you doing? He just says, you're right, Kevin. Oh, thank you. By the way, I think we need a couple new moderators here. So we're gonna add those moderators. Not that anyone's misbehaving or anything in this particular chat, but I realize I'm running low on wrenches, so to speak. So, Rideshare Source Driver says, instead of price gouging, there should be manufacturing by robots. I don't exactly know where you're coming from on that one. Like, should the robots manufacture, like, if there's a shortage of supply, there's a shortage of supply. That's the issue. So I don't know if I completely understand where you're coming from. Ephraim says, I don't buy from Amazon. They high in price and they charge shippings. Customer service are bad. eBay/PayPal account, more purchases, very happy. Well, eBay sellers are very encouraged to send you the items on time and fast because of the feedback system. Now, I disagree with you. Amazon does have great prices. That's why it hurts to not shop from them. By the way, the 17 people who are still here, if you could consider giving the video a thumbs up, that would be greatly appreciated. But, and the shipping they don't charge for if you spend $150 a year on their Prime, which is really nothing in the grand scheme of things if you buy a lot from them. But yeah, that's kind of how it is. Lynette says there's robots and they cost unskilled workers jobs. Well, they sometimes cost skilled workers jobs. Like I was told like a very interesting story by someone who works closely with robotics, and he said like when the industry started, they had programmers programming the robots, which hey, that's fine. Like that's kind of one of those situations where they say, hey, when one industry closes because of robotics, another one opens. So it's like, hey, okay, you can't work because the robots are doing it. Well, you can program the robots. But then he said, but then they realized at one point they would have the robots program the robots because the robots program faster. So that's a very interesting dilemma right there. Don't you agree? So, Righteous Rosario says more manufacturing to prevent shortage. Oh, well, yes, you could do that. Although right now a lot of people could use jobs, so I'd much rather people get those manufacturing jobs. So I don't know. All right, so I think that's all the comments, and I see people are leaving, so this topic must not be interesting. That's fine. I didn't expect to be on for like an hour or so anyway. But that's my conflict about what is currently going on here. I kind of understand where they're coming from, but I also see this as like a really bad thing. I think they will be abusing this at some point. So I just don't like it. But hey, you know what? Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm thinking about this way too much. Maybe who knows? Who knows? This is an interesting. I decided to do like just a little bit of a live chat, which maybe I'll do this in the future for other topics that I'm not 100% sure how I feel about and kind of want to spitball ideas off of. So anyway, that's what I'm thinking. Thank you all for watching the live stream. For those of you who have not joined the live stream and you're watching this after the fact, please do me a favor, hit that subscribe button and ring that bell notification. And I'd like to know what your thoughts on all of this are. Comment below, like, favorite, share, and please, flame responsibly. Have a good one.